Well, good morning, everybody. Early morning, 4:40 a.m. Been up for a couple of hours. Let's get started on the hand sanding. Hand is much better this morning. I put my that cream, I forget what it's called. Starts with a V. Similar to Bengay, something like that, but it's a prescription thing the doctor gave me. Works pretty good. Let's see how far we can get today. Better if you don't get your finger up under there when you're trying to turn this thing. Alright, all I'm going to do is just sand it, get it pretty. Remember I said at the end, and get down in there, get it all rough. If it's 100 grit, then I'll go down to 220, and then from there I'll go lower if I need to. Now this is the most time consuming part of the entire project, but it won't take that long. Once I get one coat of sealer on there, one coat of finish, then I'll get started on the block, and then I'll stop part way through that and put another coat on here, and then as it dries, 3 coats minimum. And remember, these never ever go in the dishwasher. Elmo. Momma Sue, don't let Elmo play with these. These are for you. Watch him, he'll have one out on the boat trying to cut up a fish with it or something. You know how he is. Keep it going like that. Knock off them little sharp edges that'll come up. A little bit more. Now, I can't sit down and do this. So I cannot sit down and work and do much of anything sitting in the shop. Now on the boat fishing, I prefer to sit down for the most part. Funny how that works. Oh, hang on. It's here. The last part that I was waiting on the boat. That is the choke plunger assembly that goes on the electric choke. And I have the new choke also. So I'm going to let Scott Lee know, my buddy Scott, know that it's here. And we'll talk about it and see if we determine if it's safe to him to come over and work on it one day or not. This stuff is really getting on people's nerves. Not mine so much, because I don't do a lot of going anyway, but have to really be careful right now. So they tell us. Turn it up like this. Now we're going to throw it on the floor. Here, turn it up like this. And do the ends. That looks pretty good. Now we'll go with 220. Excuse me. And just keep going. Rest of this one and 9 more to go. Actually 10 more, cause, well, yeah, 10 more, because I've got another one I got to do. And after this build is over, we have a massive build. I've already got the rest of the steel finally came in, so we get started on all those in a few days. Be back and show you the next step. There we go, not quite 7 o'clock. Handles are sanded, ready for finish. Now I want to get at least 2 coats of finish on the handles before I do anything else to the blades, because they've got to be buffed, cleaned up, sharpened, all that neat stuff. I don't want anything to get on the handles, so I'm going to seal them up now after a short coffee break. So we'll be back in just a minute and I'll start putting the finish on. Still doing okay. Starting to get sore, but the hard part is done now. Alrighty, had me another cup of coffee and a little sausage biscuit for breakfast. Well, actually lunchtime, as long as I've been up this morning. Let's start putting the finish on these. Put the first coat on. Go-to finish right there. And this will seal it, waterproof it, make it look good. Start on the edges. Now this will dry clear and it'll stay clear. Some of the polyurethanes, they work well also, but over time they will yellow, they'll turn yellow. And even some of the clear lacquer will too. But this one, I've never had a problem with this. Put a thin coat on. Try not to get any runs in it. It's a little cool this morning, so it's a little thicker. When it's real hot weather, you got to be real careful to, because it thins up a good bit and it will run quickly. That was a little spider. It's that time of year, spiders are hatching, snakes are starting to crawl. Time to be very careful around in the woods and the water and anywhere else you might can get to. If we weren't locked down, there's already talk of extending it past this month, end of this month. And I'm willing to play along to the end of this month, but y'all, I'm telling you, folks are going to start getting irritated. They already are, but anyway, that ain't got nothing to do with knife making. But there we go, there's the first one. Now we're going to set it right up here, hang it up. And let it dry. 9, 10 more to go. I got another one over there I gotta do too. That's how you do that. I'll show them to you all again when we get the second coat on there. let's start on the block, shall we? Now this is 4x6, full 4x6 South Alabama cedar. And this is the last piece I have. I had 2 big pieces of this that I had milled years ago, and very pretty stuff. The only big problem with it for me is it's so thick. All I've got is 10-inch tools. I don't have a 12-inch saw to cut it, so it takes a little extra. Gotta cut it, go back, cut it, get on the table saw. It's a little bit of a pain, but no big deal. I've got some already cut down there on the bench for the smaller knives, the bottom section, but I need a big piece for the top section. And instead of showing you all the cuts and all that, I'll just show it to you when it's all cut up. I've got 2 of these to do, this one and one more, well actually 2 more, so I'll probably go ahead and just cut what I need now while I got it out and put it on the bench for now. So let me get to cutting. Got to get out the circular saw, skill saw, make my first cut, then I'll move to the table saw, then to the chop saw, then to the joiner planer, then to the router table. And maybe we'll get it all done today, or all cut out anyway. Alright, this is the part I have to be very, very careful. Like I said, I've only got a 10-inch table saw, and this is awful thick wood. So I made a cut here, make a cut on the back side, a cut on either end, then I'll have to put the handsaw in there and finish it off. It works. I've done this before, so see, watch your ears. I'll take you with me on this cut right here. Now, don't move anything until that blade stops flowing. And I'll go this way, then the other way, and then handsaw. The next cedar I have milled, I'm going to get them to cut it way thinner than this. But that's okay. That's pretty stuff. Very, very pretty stuff. Alrighty, and get this sawed off of there. I'll show you the next step. Alright, got it cut all the way around. One safety precaution I want to stress to everybody, especially if you got little kids. My grandkids haven't been over much lately because of all the stuff going on, but table saw is down low, but they can all reach it. As soon as I get done using it, unplug it. Now they know not to touch it, they've been taught, but still, keep that thing unplugged. Any tool they can reach to turn on has got to stay unplugged when you're not using it. Cool? Now, if you look in the way back videos, this is one of my grandfather's saws that I wound up with somehow. And the video about this saw is where I resharpened it and reset the teeth. I might put a card up and show you all that video. I'll check it out. Now it's just a matter of cutting that little center section in there that didn't get cut with a table saw. That's going to take a while. I won't bore you with the whole thing, but we'll get to the next step here in a little bit. There we go. Now I'll save this for something. There'll be some kind of project where I'll need that. Much respect to the old guys. My grandfather. The old carpenters from back in the day when they didn't have power tools. That handsaw will work you. Alright, next step. I'm going to get the belt grinder out. Smooth this off. Clean up this side. And I'll start measuring for the blades. Get them cut apart. And we'll do the same thing for the bottom section. And we'll see that here in a little bit. Alright y'all, let's move on to the next step. Now this is the block, the back part of it that'll hold the big blades. Now a 10-piece set, there's typically 3 blades. 3 big knives. Now this one I'm going to add a bonus knife for Momma Sues. Not going to tell her what it is. Richard Jean knows, and maybe he won't say nothing to her, but it'll be a surprise. So we're going to have 4 slots in the top, and that will also sort of even it out, because there'll be 7 in the bottom, the small knives. Actually be a piece here, a whole separate deal, glued together. Now I want to incorporate this knot here. I want to be able to see that. And maybe I will, maybe I won't. Depends on how it works out. There was another one at the bottom here that I cut off because I know it wouldn't stay in there. So I'm going to cut these apart. Then I'll get out the joiner. Make sure all my surfaces are good and flat. Then I will cut the grooves with the router table. But I want to keep this oriented just like it is. So I'm going to put some witness marks up here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to put a arrow so I don't confuse myself. And y'all didn't think I could count, did you? Just like that. Now all these will sand right off. Ain't worried about that. Now I'm going to cut them, and when I get the joiner out and get it set up, I'll show you that. And what time is it? It's only pretty close to 11 o'clock, so we're doing pretty good on time. As long as I don't wear out, I'll be okay. One more thing before I do this. When the blade is raised all the way up, I'll take my little square, because these little hobby saws they will vibrate off at times, so I want to make sure my blade is as square as it can be. Alright, looks pretty good right there. One day when I get rich and famous, I'm going to have a real table saw. But I ain't. So I got what I got. Now that's a good little saw. Does a good job. Alright, when I get to the joiner stage, I'll show you that. Next step. Now I've got the joiner set up. I've got it in the doorway with the exhaust pointing out the door, so I don't get so many wood chips in here. One good thing about working with cedar in the shop smells very good right now. Now if you're not familiar with one of these tools, the first thing I will tell you is they will cut the end of your finger off. That's what happened to me a few years back on this very tool. So I have great respect for it. And it was my fault. I was doing something way too thin. My fingers was too close to it. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take just a little thin piece off of each side. So when I route the grooves in here, I'll get a good flat fit. I want this flat. Now this is actually the first piece, the outside. But I'm going to go ahead and run it through, and that'll keep me from so much sanding to get these saw marks out of it. Alright, we'll do that outside first. And I'll show you this cut and this cut, and then I'll do the rest of them. Ready? Now I'm still apprehensive about this thing. I always have been since I cut my finger off. But got to do it. See there? I got a nice flat surface here. I'm going to do this side too. Good and flat. Now when I route out the groove for the blade to go in, all these pieces will butt up tight and will look really nice. A little bit of a thing there. I don't think that'll bother anything though. Alright, 4 more pieces to go, and then I'll have to do the front side, which will be more pieces than this. Well, good Wednesday morning, everybody. On to the next step. I've got all the pieces to the block cut out. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to cut the grooves for the knives to slide down in once I get it all glued together. They'll slide in and out of there. Okay, I'm going to make a mark here and here, just like that. Now I've got the router table set up with a 1/2 inch straight cutting bit. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my fence set. I'm going to cut a slot, make sure I'm lined up straight, and then I'll cut each one the same. Then I'll adjust the fence and come back until I get it right like I want it, so the knives will slide down in there. Now this is a much better way to do it, I think, than I used to take little strips and glue in and brad and nail them on there. That takes so much time and so much more sanding. This, I've done this once before, it'll work much better. So let's get our fence measured out like we want it, and I'm still keeping them oriented to where they're supposed to be. So I'm gonna put me a mark here on the end. You can see that? On it there and there. And I'll constantly check it as I'm going. Waiting for the rain to start. We're supposed to get rain today, and we sure do need it. Alright, let me get this all plugged in and set up, and we'll cut one. Alrighty, here we go. I'll get this little stick here. Alright, got off just a little bit there. I think that'll be okay. Let's check our cut. We don't want to get it. Alright, need to go a little bit deeper. Let's see, let me get it adjusted just a tad bit deeper. And we'll make another cut, and another cut, and another cut, and another cut. Anyway, that's how it's going to go. That's going to work just fine. Now, what I had to do, it was trying to walk on me when it comes to this exhaust port here. I had to clamp a straight edge here so I could get a good straight cut. Now, you'll never see these cuts, but still, I want them to be straight. Now, I know I'm going into a little more detail than maybe is necessary. But I want Momma Sue to see how this set is going together. Cool? Alrighty, got all the slots cut. That's how they'll fit in there right there. They will they'll even out when I get this straight. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and glue up these and let them be drying while I'm working on the big knife section. Same exact process. Just keep adjusting the depth in the router, and depth should be good. I'll just have to adjust the width on the big pieces. Getting close. Alright y'all, there we go. The block is glued up, the sections anyway. Bad as I hate to say it, we're going to have a part 4. And I'll show you how the block goes together, because this glue has to dry and cure really well before I go to cutting on it, because it's still got to be trimmed and sanded and ground a little bit. Now, I used good old-fashioned tight bond glue. I just filled my bottle back up. I buy this by the gallon, so I've always got plenty. So I've got about a half a gallon left. So supplies I'm good on. So that'll do it for part, I think this is part 3. Yeah, part 3. And we'll do another part tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and not take a chance and let it set up overnight. And should be fairly easy to finish up tomorrow. Should be. All the blades are done. They're hanging up there. They just have to be buffed and sharpened. Now I've got lots more knives to get started on. I've already started on a couple of them. And I've got all kinds of stuff to do. So it's almost 1 o'clock. Give me a few hours to do a little couple of odds and ends around here. So, thank y'all for watching. Thank you for your support. Sorry this ran long, but I want to detail everything that goes into it. And alright, I'll stop picking on my buddy Elmo. He's a good boy. Good old boy. But the demand for good old boys, y'all know how that is, but alright, thank y'all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I will see y'all tomorrow, and we'll put this all together.